Hi, it's Ashleigh from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. And we are back for another Vlogmas. I said to myself I was just going to do the 12 days of Vlogmas. We'll see how this goes. But welcome to Sweet Dreams Bake Shop's Cupcake Christmas, where day one is going to be this adorable teddy bear. For today's tutorial, you're going to need black fondant, tan fondant, and brown fondant, but honestly, you can switch up the colors. But most importantly, you will need some sort of lollipop stick, or a toothpick or skewer will also do. I have my cookie cutter there to make sure that my teddy bear isn't too large for the cupcake, because nothing is worse than making this adorable fondant character that just overtakes the cupcake and makes it fall over. We're starting with the teddy bear because it's one of the easiest characters to make. It basically is a series of balls rolled into different shapes. Now, when you're making the base of the body, which is the most important part because it's going to stabilize the entire character, you want to make sure that you make it larger on the bottom and just a little bit smaller on the top. Whenever you're making details like arms and legs, you always want to take a ball of fondant and then split it in half. That way you'll know it's always going to be even on both sides. I also briefly want to mention that there is no cracking with my fondant, even though I'm manipulating it lots of times because I've added in some shortening into my fondant. Today I'm using a mixture of some grocery store fondant that I got, but also mixing it with satin ice, which is my preferred brand of fondant. I add the skewer or the lollipop stick in there once the legs are affixed to the body. The reason is because then it is very balanced, and I know that the skewer isn't going to cause anything to tip over. Some people will skip over the skewer part altogether, especially if the character is quite small, but I just like to have that extra bit of reassurance to make sure that everything is going to stay stabilized. Without the skewer, I find sometimes the head of the fondant character can slump onto the body. Moving along to the arms, make these a lot smaller and thinner than the legs. I find when I do it evenly, it just ends up looking really clunky and not as cute. So do it a little bit smaller than you think, and then I like to flatten it out at the top so that his hands are nice and puffy around his belly. And then when we put the head on, it just looks really cohesive and a lot more proportionate. Depending on how sticky your fondant is, you might be able to get away with just adhering fondant to fondant without using anything, but I like to use a little dab of water. I want to emphasize that you put the head on after you put the arms on, because if you do it the other way around, I find it just looks a little weird. The arms look like they're coming out of nowhere. To make the ears of the teddy bear, I tried two different techniques. The first technique here is I place the ball right on top and then I added on my detailing, but I found it actually works better if I put the detailing on beforehand. The reason is because when I did it directly on the teddy bear's head, it just didn't have that nice rounded shape, and it started looking like a different animal, though I'm not really sure which animal it looked like. It just didn't look like a teddy bear. Then you want to take that lighter color, and again, you could use the same color. I just like using a bit of a different color because then it makes this mouth area pop out a little bit more. You'll notice that with this entire tutorial, I'm really avoiding using any rolling pins or making anything super flat, just using my fingers. It's more expedient and it also gives me the shape that I'm actually looking for. Sometimes when you use cookie cutters or fondant cutters, it creates too sharp of a shape. I'm using my fancy cake tools, but honestly, you could use anything laying around the house. In fact, probably to create this smile, you're going to be a lot more successful if you use something like a paper straw cut in half, and then you can just indent it really quickly. If you just wanted a cute little bear, you could stop there. I want mine to look more like a teddy bear, like something someone would be gifted on Christmas morning, so I'm going to use my stitching tool to create these little stitches. I felt like that lighter tan color didn't make enough of an appearance in this, so I decided to also add it on to the paws. I decided to add on a little wintry note by making these fondant snowflakes. I actually got this mold from Shein. I bought it one time just to test out what the baking products were actually like from there. Surprisingly, it works pretty well. I think this would do better with chocolate because some areas are really delicate, especially if they're thin. That's why I'm going with the larger snowflake here because I know it's going to pop out properly. For all of the cupcakes in this series, I'm going to be using Italian meringue buttercream. If you want to, you can check out my buttercream series that I've been working on that I kind of paused but should go back to up in the right-hand corner. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is not a great method for this. If these chocolate chips were a little bit smaller, then yes, this would be a good method. But because these are so large, I honestly could have just picked them up in my hand and placed them on there. And then I'm adding another couple rings of buttercream. These fondant figures are a little bit heavier than your average topper, so this is why I use Italian meringue buttercream. It has a really, really good hold, and in my climate right now, it does solidify fairly quickly, so everything is super, super stable. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading every single day for the next 25 days of December. And if you didn't already know, my friend Alia and I run the Bake Down podcast where we are also uploading every single day. So if you're sad that this video is over, definitely go and check out all of our baking fails that we're going to be reacting to for the next 25 days of December. Bye!